Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I'm just going to go on a walk and talk today on a bush track here near my place. It's still locked down. I still need to stay within my LGA, within 5 kilometres of my LGA. And I've taken a walk here on a track that goes through Northmead called the Pemulwuy Loop. It's about a 1.5 hour bushwalk, and what I'm doing is walking and talking and just selecting different book summaries to present and to reflect on, and we'll see how we go. It's a beautiful spring day here in Sydney, and there's no better way to invest your time than to become one with nature, get out and about, and to seek solace and see what we can learn. Anyway, the book that I want to go through today is entitled The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And it was a book that was authored or presented many years ago, around about 500 BC. So it's a distillation of wisdom of the past, but of warrior wisdom, the sort of wisdom that you need to stay alive in a very martial sort of world where war was the norm, and the only way you survived is by applying and following the wisdom of the people who came before you, who knew what they were doing, and they were time-tested sort of laws of life. So what can we learn from this book? There are plenty of lessons that can be learned and applied. And as we say, the most important lessons and learnings that we have in our lives are the ones which are applied learnings. There's no use in learning something and not applying it. So the first thing I guess we should try and focus on is A, learning something new every single day, and B, trying to apply those learnings, that OPE, that other people's experience, in our lives as early as we can, and to make it part of our inventory of skills that we can call upon when needed to, in order to get through life. So the first point to come out of this wonderful text is the observation from the author that victorious warriors win first and then go to war, whilst defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. So what a powerful lesson that is. So it's basically saying that we shouldn't be too quick to pull the trigger and to react to stimuluses in our lives. We should step back, think about it, weigh it up, determine the pros, the cons, try and identify the first, second and third level consequences of our actions before we do anything. Whereas unfortunately, in today's world, with social media and Facebook and everybody wanting immediate satisfaction of their wants and needs, people pull the trigger first and then realise that they've got themselves into a mess, but it's all too late. I guess one of the great benefits of being married for many years is we learn that not all battles are worth fighting. You've got to pick your battles, and sometimes just turning a blind eye is the best thing to do in order to survive another day and to be in a position to continue the journey rather than ending up yet another statistic, another hero who is all but a memory. So the author then goes on to say here that if you draw inspiration from someone, let them know. One of the big problems that we have these days is that we've got connection with lots of people. We get inspired by what they do, what they say, the challenges that they overcome. But very, very few people provide the feedback and tell the people that, oh, you know, what you did inspired me. So people go through life doing wonderful things, but not really knowing that that wonderful thing that they did actually made a difference and impacted other people. So the first thing the author here says, that if somebody does something or says something that you find inspiring, because not everybody's going to find it inspiring, but if it changes the way you feel, if it changes the way you see the world, if it improves your life, then you owe it to yourself to tell somebody, tell that person that what they've done made a difference. And that's a really, really powerful lesson. Thankfully, I'm not shy on giving compliments to people, especially letting people know that what they did made an impact on my life. This is a beautiful little setting here. Let me just stop for a second. We're in a nice little billabong along this track here. And you could just imagine that this little billabong area, you know, years and years ago when the indigenous people were here, or the early settlers, would have been a little swimming hole. People would have been coming down here to wash their clothes, to swim, to pass their time. And it is absolutely beautiful, just sitting here in the middle of nowhere. And as I said, I only just discovered this part of my suburb. Even though I've lived here for over 40 years, I've only just discovered this. And I discovered it because I said one morning, I'm going to go for a walk and just try and identify all the different trails around here and see where they take me. So from this book, there are 13 lessons, 13 key lessons that come through Sun Tzu's teachings, and they can be translated into different areas of our lives. As we said before, they can be translated into business, to sport, to competition, you name it. The lessons that we have here are lessons that are capable of being used to improve, as I said, the way we live and the way we engage. So the first formal point to come from this book is where the author once again says that you only enter a battle that you absolutely know that you can win. There's no benefit in entering a battle where it's a flip of the coin to see who's going to win. You've got to make sure that you only enter battles that you know you can win. Because winners, and I spent a number of years over my life, I've spent quite a few years doing martial arts. I actually did get a black belt, a 2-dan black belt in karate, Goju-Ryu, and I also hold a 1st dan in weapons as well. So what they say here is that winners know when to fight and when not to fight, which is a very powerful rule for all of us to consider, to be able to check things out and to say to yourself, this is a battle worth fighting for, or this is not one for me, and to basically fold your cards. But the other point that the author makes is a beauty as well, that losers can't help themselves. Losers will always want to fight. So that's a pretty powerful point. So if you know somebody, or if you've got people in your lives, or if you work with people who always want to fight, then it's important to understand that we are surrounded by reckless individuals who don't see the first, second and third level consequences of their actions and are happy just to fight about everything and anything and just voice their opinion regardless of if it's right or wrong or if it hurts people, just so that they can feel validated that they are free to say what they want whenever they want, and obviously to cause damage along the way. Sun Tzu says here that fools enter battles and then try to figure out how to win. The last thing you want to do is to be in the pressure and the stress of battle and to be trying to figure out how to win. The greatest leaders are the ones who have figured out well in advance in a chess-like progression what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, how they're going to do it, and who they're going to do it with. Whereas the fool just reacts. Whereas Sun Tzu here is saying we need to be able to stop, think, balance, respond, and make the most of the decision. But once we decide what we're going to do, we go for it 100% without slowing down or giving up. And I learnt many years ago, as I said, when I was doing martial arts, because you just can't tell. The one thing I learnt, because I was a national referee in martial arts, I was the head referee for New South Wales, for AMAC for a couple of years. And during those competitions, we had full contact fighting. But the thing that I learned very early in the piece there is that you just can't tell sometimes who's going to win the fight, because you can't understand, you can't see. Although you can see the physicality of people, so one fighter is bigger than the other, you can see that, you can understand that, but what you can't tell is a person's spirit, their fighting spirit, until you engage them. And that's why sometimes standing back and not engaging people is probably the best thing to do, because you don't know who you're fighting. As I said before, you don't know, because some people are unpredictable. You think you're fighting one person, and all of a sudden you're fighting their whole family and their whole village, and before you know it, you're dead meat, because it's an unfair sort of competition. So what I learnt back then is that you never lose a fight that you don't start or you don't get involved in. So if the key thing in your life is to survive, then as we said, we pick our battles. Some battles are worth fighting for, but many are not worth our while. So, just let them win. I used to go to university with a fellow called Theo Menounos, and I remember when he was having debates with people and he just couldn't get through to somebody, even though he was making good points, he would say to them, okay, I'll let you win because I can't be bothered to continue debating with you, because you just can't make sense. I can't make any sense of you or of your arguments. And when he told people that I'll let you win, they used to get so angry, so riled up, and say to him, how dare you say that you're going to let me win? I want to win. And obviously there are people who just want to fight to say that they've won. But when you grant them the win, they don't want to accept it, which is quite funny as well. So from a business perspective, the author of this book talks about using this rule in business, and he says that you should only introduce a service or a product that is going to win, that is superior, is going to add value to your clients. The second point to come out of this book from this wonderful author, some timeless wisdom for us to consider, to think about, to play with in our minds, is that we need to learn how to deceive our competitors and to impose our will on them. So deception, mind games, and playing on people's brains and minds is one of the key lessons to come out of this timeless text. And what he says is that it's important to be able to mask your strengths with weaknesses. So if you're strong, pretend that you're weak, and vice versa. If you're weak, pretend that you're strong. Because what happens then is that you protect yourself and you protect others as well. Because if you're strong and you're protected and you act strong, then what happens is that people want to take you on all the time and you just won't get any peace. And vice versa. If you're weak and you act weak, then you're going to have people bullying you all the time. So what they're saying here is that if you're strong, pretend that you're weak, so you don't get the bullies that you can't handle taking you on. But if you're weak, pretend that you're strong. And you see that with little dogs. I've got a friend of mine, John DeBassis, and he's got a little Chihuahua called Louis, and he's always yapping away. He's always trying to bite your heels, and he's tiny. He's tiny, yet he's always showing strength. And believe it or not, he scares big dogs by his little attitude. So there you go. That's one way of applying this rule. He goes on to say that clever armies win with their minds. It's not necessarily the battle. In the ancient times, the Spartans, the Greeks, would make sounds, would do things that would spook the enemy. And once people are spooked and they can't think straight, then it's much easier to get them to do the things that you need them to do. So, people need to understand and learn how to use distraction, surprise, reverse psychology. Humbleness and modesty is a great way to throw off competitors and haters. With Facebook these days and social media, the amount of hate that is generated in commentary by people who are normally nice people is just amazing. The keyboard warriors have come to the surface and are causing great grief. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to engage with people who are on a mission to just cause grief through their negative commentary, I guess is the point. The last point to come out of this book here is where the author talks about it's important to lead your team as if you were leading a single man by the hand. So this is something which is very important in leadership. I've worked for a number of team leaders or bosses. Some people lead really, really well, and other people are pretty ordinary, I guess, at leading, or were ordinary. They may have improved, but who knows. But each and every person, each and every child, each and every spouse, cousin, person in our life is individual. They're all different, and each person needs to be treated individually and to communicate with their individuality, I guess, is the point that we're trying to make here. You need to be unique for every person, because every person is unique in their ways. So in teams, every single human adds an infinite amount of feelings, thoughts and ideas to the team that will need to be managed and best channeled. The last thing you want is a team of individuals who all have their own opinions, that have their own ways of seeing things, voice their opinions all the time, and basically create chaos. What the author here is saying is that as a leader, you need to lead that team of individuals, challenge their strengths, and use them in the best way possible. There's no room for weak leadership, just like there's probably no room for overly strong leadership, but you need to manage and channel and use your leadership skills to bring out the best of your team, and that means understanding who your team are, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and to make the best call. Not get in the way, but not let them become chaotic and create their own problems. So the lesson here from Sun Tzu is you need to give clear signals that steer them in the right direction. So people need clear leadership. They need to know where they're going, why they're going there, and how they're going to get there. And most importantly, try and keep a small team to reduce complications. The last thing we all want is teams which are constipated with people who are not creating or generating value. So as a leader, you need to be able to cut your team, or give people a chance, channel their strengths where possible, and if you see that it's not working, then you just need to cut them from the team. Otherwise, they're going to cause issues to the team along the way. And the last point from this book here is to treat everybody like family, treat everybody with respect in your team, and as we said before, make the cut, make the right calls. But the important thing is that as a leader, you are responsible for the team and making the most of the team. As you can see, there's lots of people here partying away. It's a beautiful little picnic spot. I'll make sure to bring the wife down here, bring Paula and the kids, and spend some time down here. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As I said, I've done a bushwalk today, which has been a lot of fun. We've been through a couple of book summaries. This is my second, and I'll try and get one or two more done today, because I haven't done many for a while. But I've got the time, I've got a day off today from work, so I thought I'd be productive, do some exercise, but also learn and teach along the way as well. So Yassas, take care, and until we chat again, I look forward to catching up with you. And don't know where, don't know when, but I don't know which book I'll be going through. But I've got about 25 that I've got notes on. Yassas, take care, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.